A few years ago, when I was at a different parish, I had a lot of confessions, just like we have, well, not just like we have here, but there were a lot of confessions. And one day, this woman came in and she said it had been 20 years since her last confession. And I was like, that's amazing. Welcome back to the sacrament. What brought you in today? I'm always interested what brings people back to the sacrament of reconciliation. And she said to me, she's like, I was in therapy and my therapist told me to do something nice for myself. And I just asked her, I was like, do you think this is what she meant? And she looked at me and she was like, no, she probably meant to get a manicure or like a massage or something. And I was like, probably, but I'm really glad that you were here. And so over this next couple of months, this woman was restored back to the sacraments, was flourishing within our community. I just got to see how she grew throughout this time of coming back to the Lord. And I am always struck every Lenten season about how so many people stay away from the sacrament of reconciliation. And I don't know if it's the busyness of your life. I don't know if it's guilt or shame. But I remember being a kid, and I'm sure parents can remember this. You remember when you would resist going to have a bath with you're like, no, but then you get there and you'd be like, yes, this is the best and most fun thing in the world. Confession's not like that. But we resist it. And afterwards, the chain and the weight and the burden of our sin falls off. And we live a life restored in freedom. And this is the reason that Jesus Christ came into the world. He came to bring us back to life. That is why he died on the cross. John chapter 10, in a couple chapters past where we read today, Jesus says these words, I have come that you may have life and have life to the fullest. The evil one, the thief, he comes to steal, slaughter, and destroy. But I have come that you might have life and have it to its fullest extent. And this is what the Lord does. He restores and returns our life to us. And we see this in our gospel reading today. There's a woman caught in the very act of adultery, in this place of shame. She has been used and abused by the world. And maybe you've never been caught in this situation, but I do think that all of us have experienced how the world is using and abusive towards who we are. You see this in the man that she committed adultery with. He used her, but then when it became difficult, when she was going to be put on trial, is he there? No, he has abandoned her. With her in this time, but not when it becomes difficult. And then to double down on this use and abuse, the Pharisees catch her in the very act of adultery, and they drag her from that space and put her in front of the crowd to trap Jesus. They do not see her as a person. They see her as a means to an end to entrap Jesus. Because if he doesn't stone her, as Deuteronomy 22:22 says, then he's not the Messiah. If he does say to stone her, then he's violating the Roman law. We know from John chapter 18, verse 31, that the Jewish people were not able to commit capital punishment. And so they think that they have this, but they are using her, not seeing her as a suffering person. But then there is Jesus, who does not use, who does not abuse. His entire purpose in this life is to give us life to the fullest. No one takes Jesus' life from him. He gives it to us freely, not use, but self-gift. Does he willingly lay down his life on the cross? He dies so that you may live and be restored. And he does that so wonderfully today. Because he looks at this woman, his heart is moved for her. He does not see how he can use her, he sees her. And what does he do? He stands in between her and the mob, her and the world that wants to use, to steal, slaughter, and destroy. He gets between her and them. And he fights for her. He defends her. He says, which of you has not sinned? And if you have not sinned, then cast the first stone. He's beautifully just ninja moved outside of this trap that they think that they have laid, because Jesus Christ is wisdom incarnate. And he is defending one that he loves. And then he looks at her and he says, they have all gone. They do not condemn you. And so I do not condemn you. I see you. But he doesn't say, go back to your sin. Because he loves her, because he fights for her, because he defends her, he says, sin no more. I want you to be free. This is why I have come into the world, to defeat death and darkness and sin. The Lord Jesus Christ wants to do the same thing for you. The world that seeks to use and abuse, he wants to stand between us and that world, and he wants to show us his love. He wants to fight and to defend you. And so in this Lenten season, although I am not your therapist, I want you to do something nice for yourself. And I do not mean a manicure or a massage. I mean, I want you to come back to the sacrament of reconciliation. If it has been a long time, if it's been 5, 10, 50 years since your last confession, we have times available during this Lenten season. There are 2 very important times. This upcoming Wednesday, the bishop has instituted something called The Light is On for You. Every Catholic church in the Diocese of Dallas should be having confession from 7 p.m. to when everybody leaves. That means that you don't have to come here. You can. Our lines are always very long, but you could go to any other Catholic church in the Diocese of Dallas, and the light of the confession box is on for you. Go to confession. Here at St. Anne's, we are going to be having a very specific penance service on the 14th of this month, April 14th. It's a Monday, and we are going to try to bring in 10 to 15 priests to sit in this church and to hear as many confessions as we can. We will begin at 7 p.m., and we are committed to not leave this church building until every single person that wants the Lord to fight and restore them in the sacrament of confession has their sins heard and forgiven. Do something nice for yourself. Receive the greatest gift that there is, the defense of Jesus Christ, the invitation that he has to offer, that he doesn't see what you can do for him. He sees you, loves you, and wants to restore and strengthen you, that you may have life and life to the fullest.